I mean, I haven't said everything that Dozer does, though.
Do we want to tell them everything?
We weren't specifically looking to fix Payday the Heist or Payday 2. We feel like those games have their own identity. I am Mildred Kovacevic, also known as Mio. I am a senior game designer here at Starbreeze. On launch, Payday 3 will have 4 difficulties. We have normal, hard, very hard, and overkill. The general intention is if you're just starting out the game and you're still learning how to play Payday 3, we recommend you start off with normal. Once you're used to that, you can move to hard mode, and hard is sort of our default difficulty while you're still leveling up after you understand how the game works. Very hard is our difficulty where you've progressed enough through the game where you have a loadout you're comfortable with. If you're a veteran player, you'll probably be playing very hard in default. Overkill in Payday 3 is planned to be a brutal, unfair difficulty. So in terms of enemies, one of the bigger changes people will find is that we don't segregate enemies based on the difficulty you're playing. What we want is players to be able to experience any part of the game across all difficulties. So what we instead do is we play with the enemy numbers and we play with their accuracy and damage. One other thing that people will notice is we don't actually change their health values between the difficulties. And this is because we want to encourage people to be able to play with each other. There's one feeling we want to avoid is a situation where you have to play on an easier difficulty and be bored, or they have to play on a harder difficulty and be overwhelmed.
One thing that matters a lot is the movement in the game, where you have sliding and mantling and vaulting and all these other movement options for you as a player. My name is Jimmy Karlström. I'm a senior game designer here at Starbreeze. Your armor affects the player's total weight as a base, but then also other things can affect that weight. This allows you as a player to be faster or slower depending on what you have equipped.
The bigger change are on the armor system that the player has. I'm Martin Wern. I am a lead gameplay programmer. The armor is built up of shards, so you can you have like specific components that can be broken down by getting shot at. It can recoup, but if you lose one, you lost it forever. Not forever. You can still get it back from armor bag, similar to what we have the doctor bag or medic bag in Payday 2. The health is not regenerating at all. It's just going down. As soon as you lost the armor, you start losing the health.
So we also have different things affecting different health bars at any time. So for example, your standard enemies, if they shoot you, they will first hit the armor, but certain special enemies will circumvent that. So you can't just rely on stacking armor and not worrying about health. Health is also a resource you need to pay attention to. To go over what's new about enemies, first I just want to explain how we categorize the enemies internally. So we have 3 categories. We have the common enemies, so that's your bread and butter SWAT and heavy SWAT. Then we have what we call the uncommon enemies. Internally, that is the shield and the sniper. And then we have the specials, and they're there to break the pace.
Oh, so you lost a respect for the bulldozer. Yeah, in Payday 3 we are upping him again. It's not like it's only getting more health or more spongy. He has a couple of new behaviors as well that might surprise the players. One of the behaviors is the bull rush. You might stand there, shoot at him, you might be ignoring him, looking in a different direction, and then he just can decide to bull rush you. And that will, tackle you, make you immobile for a while. Same thing if you get too close to him. If you walk up to him, he will kick you. I mean, the respect for him should be back in Payday 3.
This is true for a dozer, but also true for all our specials. If you really, really, really hate a certain special, you can build something that basically deletes them for you from the game. So if you really hate the dozer and you never want to see a dozer again, you can have a build that consistently 3-shots the dozer, but you will be weaker in other aspects of the game.
And this is where it goes into playing with your friends, right? You can be the dozer deleter, or one of your friends then can be the squad deleter. It's all about cooperation and trying to find a way through the heist together.
So the Nader is a new enemy type. He has a bunch of gas grenades on him and flashbangs, so he will take the gas grenade and throw it where the players are, and this will create a gas cloud that exists for a certain amount of time. While you're in that cloud, you cannot sprint, and you will take damage over time directly to your health. Zapper is very similar to how he used to be. We have made some smaller changes to how the stun works. You will have first a partial stun where you can still shoot back and move your aim and try to free yourself. But if you don't manage to do that, you will enter a full stun. Cloakers have had a really big update. I would argue that they've gotten the most love, even though they don't deserve it because nobody likes cloakers. We want the cloaker to feel like a bully, so he now has 2 nightstick bracers. If you leave a deployable unattended and he walks past it, he will melt it with a bottle of acid because he's a toxic person like that.
One really neat improvement is on the shield enemies. The other swords have a behavior where they understand the shield much better, so they can actually walk behind this guy, use him as a cover, stand behind him, go out, shoot at the player, go back in behind. So it creates a little bit more interesting dynamic.
The shield is really not there to kill you. He has a handgun, but he's mostly there to support other units. So if you have just a solo shield, he's probably annoying. If you have a shield that's covering for multiple enemies, then he's actually dangerous.
When we are picking the weapons that goes into the game, we are looking at a lot of different things. What is the sort of perception of a weapon in the real world? And what do we need to fulfill a certain gameplay element? So the weapon modding in Payday 3 is very similar to Payday 2 in the aspects of like you can pick your own sight, your magazines, stocks, etc. But the way you get them is a little bit different. So each gun has their own progression and their own progression path, where you as a player play the game as you gain experience with that gun and as you use it throughout multiple heists, then you will unlock more options and you will be able to find new ways to play with it. One thing that we have in Payday 3 is preset weapons. These are essentially weapons that come pre-configured with already a set of mods equipped on them, but also a unique look that you can't get otherwise. Something that is important when you're playing with the preset weapons is that even though you're playing with these preset weapons, you're still progressing the base weapons levels. And that is a really important factor, so you never lose out on that progression. We are just saying like, hey, you're playing with this gun, cool, you're gaining experience too. So the overkill weapons in the game, they are essentially your big power-up. It's something that you gain progress toward during a heist when you are completing objectives. And then as you gain this progress, at some point then later, you can call in your overkill weapon. This is something that is supposed to be a real power upgrade for you and help you get out of that sticky situation. We have a recoil system that is a spray pattern and a gun kick based system that allows you to essentially control your recoil in certain aspects, but there are always a little bit of randomization that you can't control. But with that said, you can learn and master the spray patterns and find a weapon that really suits your personality and what you want to play with. It's not about finding a specific breakpoint in a game where you want to reach a specific stat number as in Payday 2 necessarily. Instead, it's about what you enjoy in your combat situations and how you want to engage with it.
So there are a couple of different gadgets. You have ECM jammer that blocks the enemy to alert. It also blocks cameras. You have a mini camera that you can place, and then you can at any time view through these cameras. The idea is obviously that you as a team equip different ones and you get different possibilities within the heist. I believe we have created a really good foundation. I think it's a good first step.
I would like the community to explore the opportunities of Payday and how the different ways you can approach a heist, and also how their choices in the game, both when it comes to loadout and their actions actually has an impact.
I would like to see players complain about their hatred towards the enemies in particular. I know that the Cloaker is much hated, and I hope people learn to hate him even more. And I also want to see some cool skill builds.
Mio hasn't thought about this. This is gonna break the game.
You'll fix it in post.
No, cut that. That's terrible. That's just a fucking lie. No.